Hey friends, Derek from B.O.M Socks here with more B.O.M Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ one bite at a time. So today I want to take you just to a brief message found in chapter 5. The context here is important to understand. These individuals were coming in, these Judaizers were coming in and trying to get the Galatian saints to start believing so much more into the law that they forget their faith in Jesus Christ. Again, they didn't think faith was a bad thing, but it just wasn't enough. You needed to do more, right? And so you get into chapter 5 right here. Paul is really being bold with these Galatian saints. Verse number 4, Christ has become of no effect unto you. Like everything I've taught you, it's like you've forgotten about Jesus here. Whosoever are justified by law, you are fallen by grace. You're focusing so much on all of these laws that you're forgetting about Jesus Christ right here. Verse 7 is kind of a funny verse. You did run well. Who did hinder you that you should not obey the truth? Now the NIV is kind of funny for this one. You were running a good race. Who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth? It's like you guys were doing so well, but someone comes in and cuts you off and tries bringing you back and dragging you back to the starting line. Now Paul gets very bold as he gets right to the heart of this down in chapter 5 verse 14. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Now that one word is also Christ, right? Now as you focus on Jesus Christ, it is going to help you treat other individuals properly. You even get into chapter 6, just the first 3 verses I think are very relevant to us. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. New Living Translation says, Dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back onto the right path. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. And I think that's cool there. Paul's like, and there does need to be boundaries. It's not like, the worst way to save someone from drowning in quicksand is to dive in after them, right? Paul's like, look, you keep your boundaries right there. There's wisdom in there with that. But you love the person. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself, right? And so when we start treating other individuals, we start judging inappropriately. That idea of bearing one another's burdens takes me back into Mosiah chapter 18, where Alma is baptizing in the waters of Mormon, and he talks about our covenants to mourn with those that mourn, comfort those that stand in need of comfort, to bear one another's burdens. It's all fulfilled in one thing, and that is those basics of loving God and loving your neighbor, which is interesting because you've seen that is the heart of this right here. It is the love God and love your neighbor. You break it out to there, you got the 10 commandments, all of which are designed to help you love God and love your neighbor. I had someone ask me one time, they said, so do we really need the 10 commandments? And I'm just like, well, if we love God, then we will make sure that we are not having any graven images and that we're having no other gods before us and that we're keeping the Lord's day holy. If we would love one another, then we're not going to kill our neighbor. We're not going to steal his stuff. We're not going to covet after his stuff or commit adultery with his wife or any of that things. So again, you focus on that. And you even go back to the Old Testament law of Moses, where you got the 613 laws of Moses. If you ever want to look them up, they're super interesting, very specific, but again, designed to help you keep the 10 and to focus on the 2, right? And you even had more fence laws that went even farther than that just overcomplicated the gospel. But if you bring it right down, like for example, you go to For Strength of Youth. Many of you know the For Strength of Youth over the years. The standards have never changed, and that's an important thing to understand. But the way we are focusing is more on the Savior. It's a higher and holier way of doing it. So it's all fulfilled in that idea of you love God and you love your neighbor. And as you do those things, everything else is going to fall into its proper places. I love that principle, and I love that it's repeated here by Paul as he's trying to help these Galatian saints in their race get back to where they were so they can keep on running. I'm grateful for this principle, and I know that it's true. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks as always for sharing. As always, so grateful that you do that. And of course, go check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. Godspeed, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.